100% map win rates have been decimated all season. Teams Hot's Lady had like 2-0s over Soa. Soa changed that. It's definitely the combo breaker phase as we go to Dragonshire to start off. This is not a decent map for CE. It's SPT. Are we going to see a double combo breaker? Are we going to see a 1 point going over to CE and a removal of that 100% win rate for SPT?
Yeah, that is quite the feat, quite the achievement now to unlock for CE. Not only can they break the curse of not being able to win or even take maps of SPT, but also they're going to break the flawless record of SPT here on Dragonshire, as Tetra said, 11-0. Well, they can at least try or fall down while they're at it. But we're going to dive in right into this first draft. And once again, we have to highlight this. There are teams in the Chinese HGC League that kind of give away the game one by going for weird drafting experiments, by not taking it seriously, or any other reason that we don't mention here. And those are RPG and CE for the most part in this season. So I really want CE to go for a standard draft, to go for crowd control. Don't go for those weird Johanna solo tank, Turiel solo tank compositions, because by now it has been proven that those normally don't work. In China, at least.
We are seeing the consistent bans, as we see most of the games today. Not all of them, but most of the games. Vala, she's finally reached that point. Yeah. She's finally there where people are like, you know what? No, we're done. We're not playing against her or with her anymore. Don't want to have it. And then it's the Ariel banned out, because if you leave the Ariel open, there's still Cassia, there's still Lunara, there's still Gul'dan. There's enough options that Ariel still has a wonderful time. So instead, it's Greymane, the next highest assassin, and in exchange, that Tassadar, still high priority, and Lunara.
There's a new cool kid on the block, and that one is known as Lunara. And I'm really glad you brought her up, Tetra, because Ariel being banned and Vala being banned, those were some of the key components of this infamous, double support Vala comp that Easter a couple of months ago originated and made really popular. For now, though, Lunara is seen to take over. She can be played with that Tassadar. She can be played with the likes of Malfurion, Rhaegar, and Uther. Yeah. No problem, no biggie. And at some point, I might actually say that she's even more powerful than Vala, because what she brings to the table that Vala can't is consistent poke damage. And she's not as dependent on cooldown as Vala is.
Would you argue that would you agree with me in saying that currently China is in the slows meta?
Yep, I would definitely agree. Like, yeah, Lunara, unfair advantage, of course, combos off with slows.
Tassadar, Chromie, Arthur's still highly prioritized. Rhaegar even has slows. There's not as much prioritization on the stuns. No stuns in the first 4 picks. Finally, one comes in. It's going to be Muradin as the first tank in the game, and it's going to be for CE.
And speaking of slows in a very slow-centric meta, there's a hero that recently did receive a rework, and that is Lieutenant Morales. And she has that anti-slow cleanse, if you will, on her safeguard. So
that's true.
Is that an argument for Morales to finally step up as that meta breaker? I wouldn't hate it. And as you said earlier, Tetra, she has the double safeguard at level 16, right? So you can counter slow twice.
There's also Stim Drone available for the Lunara there, if that's what they want to go for. Rip another slow, getting rid of that Arthur.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Morales, I wouldn't hate it. It gives you that bot lane domination that teams so much like. If you are playing on this map, dominating the bot lane is good. They're saving it, though. They want to save their support till last, so I actually think it might be happening. As we do, other option could be Lucio, but it's going to be ETC and Dahaka. Oh, no, wait, Malthael's banned. I was about to say if Malthael gets picked up, they could Lucio, but that's a bit less likely.
Yeah, Lucio, of course, with that sound barrier, proving to be a quite reliable counter to the Malthael Tormented Souls engage. For now, though, CE, are they going to run a double support comp against what SPT's brought to the table? CE traditionally doesn't focus on double support as much as other Chinese teams. Especially now with Tassadar, of course, being out of the way. I don't think they're going to do that. I really hope they're not going to do it. Zuyu is a deadly Chromie. And once again, we saw how strong that can be against double support in the previous series. Yeah. And SPT is most certainly going to pick another support, because Salo Tassadar isn't really a thing in 2017.
Unfortunately not.
Oh my god.
A Luful Karazim! It's back! And we see a Sonya with the Death Knight skin, because it's awesome. And SPT, what are we going to see as the last pick for them in support? Is Morales still viable now that there's that option of that Sonya backline dive potential?
Yeah, I think there is a couple of options left to go. Uther is just fine, though. Yeah, that's much better than Morales here, because Uther, of course, provides additional interrupts to the Sonya. Speaking of Sonya and that Death Knight skin, by the way, if I were a good-looking female cosplayer, I would go for that immediately.
I'd be down. It seems like a fun cosplay. You'd have to get contacts, I think, because the eyes are white or something, aren't they? That could be done.
Yeah,
you can get really like colored contacts.
Looks really good.
Yeah,
now, Tetcher, there might be the chance of Paradise playing Karazim, maybe, because I'm not sure if any of the other players in the roster of CE are as good on Rhaegar as Luful could be. Although I totally agree with you, I want to see the legend himself make that Karazim work, because if there's one player in the entirety of HGC China that I would label a Karazim god, it would be a Luful.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I'm remembering the words Paradise Rhaegar in my head. So it might have happened, and as such, I'm going to check Master League, see if I'm remembering correctly or whether the scenarity is finally catching up to me.
Okay.
No, not RPG, CE.
Not sure, man. I think it's going to be Paradise. Potentially on that Karazim. I think it resembles the melee assassin playstyle a little bit more.
He has played a Karazim once and a Rhaegar once, so it could be either helpful. He has a 0%. He has a 100% win rate on Rhaegar, 0 on Karazim. I'm voting for him playing Rhaegar with a Luful on Karazim.
Same, absolutely same. Now, Tetcher, with both of those drafts being unlocked, who do you think gets the upper hand in Game 1 in terms of drafting?
Honestly, I actually think CE's draft's better. It's far more aggressive. It's really sustaining. They've got really good comfort picks. I'm down. It's all the heroes are independent. Super down. But for now, we are loading in to game number 1 between CE and SPT. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, last series of the day for HGC China. It's SPT on the left with Jen Zhao on Lunara, Melody C on Tassadar, Misaka on ATC, Soap on the Dahaka, and ZZH is playing the Uther.
Whereas on the right-hand side, rocking the red dresses, it is CE. With a Luful on the Rhaegar, Wind plays that Murden, KTY goes for the Karazim Paradise on the Sonya, and Zuyu plays the Wolfman. So it is KTY, after all, a player we totally forgot about. And he's going to step in, play that Karazim, and become Luful's disciple.
Now I have to look up his statistics. Rhaegar, he has also played... Wait, no, that's Rhaegar. Where's Karazim? He's played Karazim once, and he has a 100% win rate on that too. He's played both Karazim and Rhaegar once, so that's fair. There we go. So we are just sticking with the comfort. They feel more comfortable putting a Luful on that Rhaegar because they know they're going to get them clutch cleanses. For now, though, we're seeing Sonya in the top lane playing very passively. Does not want to get called out early on by that sneaky Dahaka drag or get rotated on, whereas everyone else just rotating around, clearing lanes as quick as possible for this early stage of the game. By the way, we also do have third wind coming in for the Muradin at the start. No blocks or anything like that. Just getting extra healing.
Exactly. Extra healing. It allows him to stay much more mobile and active on the map, even after he took a little bit of poison damage, because the poison... Every continued tick from the poison doesn't really count towards the staying out of combat, so the extra healing from the second wind trait is eventually going to out-sustain the poison, and I think that's the thought process behind it. Muradin wants to stay in combat for as long as possible. Beautiful alley-oop here, if you will, with the jump and the stun and the kicks from Muradin, from Karazim. Very, very nicely done. And see, already turning on the aggression here, making sure that the bottom lane belongs to them, at least for now, but you cannot underestimate that constant poke from Kun Zhao, who I'm particularly excited about on this Lunara, by the way, because traditionally Sheng Zhao has been, you know, the Vala, the Grey main, but I can't really recall him on the Lunara, so I'm going to pay special attention to how he plays that hero.
It's always nice to see them out their comfort zone. It's just been so long since we've seen Valor just out of the question.
Body blocks.
ZZH getting focused. Heal self to Hacker out of nowhere, tries to save. Zuyu fleeing for his life, and he makes it out. KTY also makes it out, wins completely fine, and that's a 1-for-0 in favor of CE.
Yeah, and that is really huge for two reasons. For the most part, it is Soap who's now committed in that bottom lane, resulting Zhonya completely all by herself, who now takes the Shrine and takes the XP. So Soap is not going to be able to out-soak. Melody C and the Tasser in the meantime forced to take care of two lanes at the same time. So beautiful survival on the side of CE and spectacularly done so.
Spectacularly done indeed. They currently control a double laser, but unfortunately Rhaegar is incapable of outlaning an ETC, so therefore he's not going to be able to grab this without assistance, and top goes back over to SPT. Also, so is Bot. That mercenary camp currently being grabbed by CE has forfeited them both shrines. So, very risky play. Ah, no. Wynn's been holding bot lane for now.
Oh, the Wisp. The Wisp intercepting the Stormbolt, being a real bro here. I don't think there would have been enough kill potential anyway, but, you know, better be safe and sound and utilize all the tools you've got. So, beautifully done by Lunara, whether it was on purpose or just a happy coincidence.
He's gone for dividing Wisp, actually, so he has double the chance of getting that right. And getting a little bit extra here. Muradin with that Thunderburn there, getting a little bit of extra slows coming out. Zhonya with that focused attacks, more burst. She already has a little bit of self-protection, a little bit more burst. There's not any roots, not a huge... There's some decent amount of slows, but instead focusing on the damage, so hopefully she won't need to be consistently whirlwinding in a fight. It's going to be a Poison Spear burst build.
Now you can see Wind on the Muradin trying to posture up here over the wall and trying to go for a cheeky gank, but Melody C did everything correctly. He followed the Muradin so they would have good vision on Wind, not getting surprised. And I gotta say though, that early Mercenary camp, that early Siege Giant Mercenary camp did a lot of damage in favor of CE in the bottom lane. One tower destroyed, the second one almost, so I do have to highlight that CE is playing this early game very aggressively, but actually doing a good job doing so.
Dude, they are. They haven't put themselves in particular danger yet. They still 1 kill to 0. That dividing Wisp guarding both bushes there, seeing if there was any kind of secret rotations, as level 7 is hit for SPT. Little bit behind CE at the moment. So far, though, nothing out of the ordinary for really any of these heroes. The only really things worth mentioning are the Iron Forge momentum over the Skullcracker, and the ETC is going for the extra face melt damage as opposed to anything like Hammer On or the Echo Pedal.
Now keep in mind that KTY on the Karazim, on the side of CE, he also went for the Earth Ally at level 4, denying a lot of physical damage by 50% from those auto attacks. Now, in the previous game, when Karazim was picked against Lunara, we saw the Spirit Ally, giving healing over time. Now, I think the reasoning behind it is because, oh, never mind, good kill on Uther. KTY actually turning on the heat here against Lunara and multiple enemies at the same time. But I think there might be a chance of seeing Archon, and then the Earth Ally gets exceptionally value against that.
It does, unless it gets blown up by the AoE, which there is always potential of, unfortunately. It is hittable by AoE abilities. Currently, both shrines in favor of SPT. And the thing is, CE have been winning almost all of the fights. They're 2 kills to 0. But they are not currently winning objectives because people keep having to go beat due to all that poison damage.
Exactly, the poison damage proving to be annoying as hell, even against double support like Rhaegar and Karazim. And for the most part, Rhaegar has fulfilled... Oh my goodness, that's a lot of aggressive damage here coming in from Greymane and Karazim. But for the most part, Rhaegar was forced to stay in the middle to either prevent the Dragon Knight from getting captured or to just solo lane against ETC. So there isn't really a whole lot of, you know, sustain against Lunara. But regardless, KTY and Greymane are doing a fantastic job at staying close and not falling victim to any of those Lunara kills. Really solid.
Indeed, they're doing a really good job for the moment. Once again, this map isn't so much a we must get the objective no matter what cost. It's a just stop your opponent getting it and win elsewhere. And right now, CE are just preventing SPT from getting the objective and have been crawling slowly towards their level 10s with a couple kills here and there. And as such, they have level 10 first. Avatar, Ancestral Healing, Wrath of the Berserker, 7-sided Strike, and the go for the Throat. SPT still a little bit away. CE not capitalizing on their 10 though.
KTY in trouble now. There is a potential Dehaka burrow. It comes in. Uther ends up falling before he arrives.
But panic. Down goes Karazim. Zuyu survives. It's a 1-for-1. But that does mean that that bottom shrine will not be claimable. Sonya now needs to make the most of this and just wreck top lane as quick as she can before she can rotate, and she is doing so. Misaka's going to come, but he can't burst her down alone, so that tower does still fall. But level 10 is now available for SPT as well.
Cool thing about the 7-sided here is, of course, that ETC, when he goes in too deep in trying to get that mosh pit, can be shredded very handsomely by a 7-sided. Yep. Also, I think if you go double support Karazim, the chance that the other support is interfering with your palm once again and prevents it from getting triggered because both of you have the same thought process is kind of nice. So you go for the more aggressive route. Also allows Karazim to... Oh, hold that thought! A mosh pit for the Murden.
Not in time! Just in time as the mosh pit ended.
Now, is that worth it, Tetcher? I'm not sure.
20 seconds. There's 20 seconds if they could grab the shrines quickly. Oh, no, they can't. Yeah, that's not worth it because they're not going to be able to grab a Dragon Knight here. They've not really earned themselves anything because there's such a big group up already here for CE that they're not able to capitalize on it with an objective. That's just a 100-second cooldown that they've burned. 7-sided used very early as KTY wraps back around. Grey made into the back line, and they're trying to burn down the ETC. They've no minions here. They're just fighting under keep.
They're fighting under keep, but they realize that the mosh pit was on cooldown, and that's why they basically turn on the heat. In his dying breath, Rhaegar capitalized on the fact that he had the Ancestral ready, cast it on Greymin, but in the end, I mean, I see the play, the intention behind CE's decision here. They really wanted to use the fact that CE, the ETC was not ready yet, couldn't really participate in a team fight, but they dove too deep, too aggressively under the fort, as you said. Murden, is he gonna get it? No. He was very, very close. 500 takedown here, by the way, for Paradise. Congratulations, my man.
Congratulations, but what an unnecessary bunch of deaths for CE. Just don't, don't dive the opponent's keep with the opponent's fort with no minions. You just lost 2 heroes for no reason, and now there's a Dragon Knight pushing in your stuff, and the entire enemy team because Karazim's not even back yet. They burned their lead for no good reason.
Exactly.
Other than to feign pressure.
Yeah. Very, very well summarized, Tetcher. I think the intention was good, like applying pressure when the mosh pit was on cooldown, but they applied a little bit too much pressure. It's like, you know, you want to squeeze out your, you know, when chocolate gets melted and you want to squeeze it out of the plastic wrap still, but if you squeeze too hard, it's all going to explode and just causes a mess, whereas the chocolate is all over the place. I don't really know what that comparison was, but you get the idea.
What's really important here is chocolate is delicious. As we do see wind rotating around. That's what I got out of that analogy. Wind is hovering around, seeing if anyone overextends KTY with that aggressive poke damage, forcing out a shield. It is once again a Kala's Light. This seems to be the go-to when you're running Lunara, because she doesn't auto-attack that much, so the leeching doesn't get so much value. Nice leaping strike there.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that's forcing Wind to retreat. Beautiful slows as well.
Absolutely outdanced, and I love the talent adaptation here by Melody C on the Tassar, going for the Kala's Light at level 10, the purple shield, instead of going for the increased life leech, because let's face it, there's a lot of burst damage coming in from Greymane, Karazim, and Sonya that there's probably not going to be a long duration in those team fights where Lunara gets value from the increased life leech, whereas the 15 armor can really help keeping her alive in the long term.
Yes, it can, and this bot lane getting heavily pressured now. These two teams both on even talents, even levels. ETC coming in, trying to get Rhaegar here. Aluful retreating out of the mosh pit, gets everyone. Leaping strike, absolute devastation. Karazim will escape. Muradin is getting stun locked. He makes it over the wall though. Good storm bolt. Sonya is far too late, and this Merc camp will be stolen by SPT.
Unfortunately, Paradise on the Sonya was nowhere near to be found. Maybe the spear could have interrupted, but it was just so well done. Like, the preemptive cleanse by Uther made sure the mosh pit was good. KTY says bye-bye.
There we go.
There we go.
It was very close to death there.
No, it was just so... Uther didn't even have to use Divine Shield. Like, even if, let's say, Sonya were nearby... If the reaction is good on ZZH, on the Uther, like even the spare couldn't have interrupted and they would have died anyway. So I think there was nothing for CE to be done. Just don't come up, don't fight in this mercenary choke point here at the bottom, and just try to avoid the mosh pit.
Yeah, the mosh pit has so far undone them. That was a bad choke point to fight in. Speaking of choke points, they're about to enter into this shrine. They're going to try and reclaim this. It's neutral, so for now, ETC is actually a little bit neutralized. We're going to see Sonya attempt to slow down the rotation here. No, they miss each other. They go through different bushes.
Keep in mind that 16 is not there just yet for CE. Sonya's trying her best to keep 2 lanes depushed and soaked. They have to give this up. Like, there's no way they can contest the Dragon Knight. Okay, Wind is going in, trying to use the numbers advantage here.
Yeah, Sonya has delayed the Dragon Knight capture. All they need to do is to prevent this. Good Divine Shield is used. Zuyu gets a snipe on the edge and rolls to freedom. Ancestral lands a lethal with the save here. Misaka coming in to help. KTY surviving though. Sonya is coming in like a whirlwind as they try to take down Soap. With Uther and Tassadar both down, the healing is about to run out for SPT as Uther's ghost shall expire.
Yeah, Sonya coming in like a whirling ball here. Beautifully done. Great kill. And that's the damage. The burst damage potential. And Soap, you don't want to lick the Sonya who just annihilated your teammates, buddy. You just want to get out there and just let him have the forward. Nothing you can do about it, bro. But CE coming in, guns blazing and fists swinging. That was a team fight I never thought they should have taken, but they just proved me wrong, and boy, am I happy about it. Because, Tetra, we've got ourselves a game. It is dead open now.
That was much better than the last Forge dive they did, as Paradise picks up the Dragon Knight, and they're going to begin to put on some pressure. They're even soaking XP here. We're seeing Rhaegar soaking XP. Everyone else has gone back for mana. This is very much more of a preventional Dragon Knight, at least for the moment, to stop SPT getting it. They're happy to burn a lot of the duration to give their team time to get healthy again. Yeah,
something we also need to highlight here on Dragonshire is, ever since a few patches ago, I can't recall exactly which one it was, but the Dragon Knight is now much more potent when it comes to actual team fighting. Whereas before, he used to be, you know, relatively weak, barely did any damage. But now, look at those flames, look at the auto attacks. They have been buffed significantly, especially after 13, almost 14 minutes. Paradise is really starting to hurt the backline quite a bit.
He is losing a lot of Dragon Knight duration though, 30 seconds, 27 health left. So pretty even, he's using about the same amount of duration as health, getting maximum value. See ya! Shen Zhao gets kicked out. Dragon Knight will pop, likely due to health here as the Storm chases it down. Down it goes.
Down it goes, and I think they caught the scent of Dehaka, who was last seen in the top lane, but thanks to the enhanced agility, Soap is just... he's just a very quick fella and does not end up getting caught. Now, basically a dead even match again in terms of XP, in terms of buildings. They're almost even. Can I just take this moment as well to tell you how much I love these SPT banners? I might just have to get one of those. How do I do that, Tetra?
Well, you can do that, Kendrick. It's an interesting question you just asked, but you can do that by heading to the Blizz Heroes Twitch page, the official Heroes of the Storm Twitch page for Esports, and you can use the cheer button, which is next to the emote button, Goodbye Muradin. That's nothing they can do about that, as the Big Strike takes it down. Why am I still talking like this? I don't know. As KTY turns it around, they're going to try and take out Soap, who is just destroying the backline. Seven-sided strike keeps Karazim alive for the moment, but he's getting body blocked. Dash to his allies. Lots of poison on him, but he's still alive. Potent keeping him alive. As Sonya trying to stay alive. The whirlwind, not enough to deal with the poison. The rest of the team gets out, but they're still a 2 for 0.
That's how you deal with a little bit of advertisement. You just crush it with sheer force. With brute force your way into the attention. And once again, a solo mosh pit on Muradin, the tankiest member on the side of CE. Basically sealed the deal. Like, without the dwarf, they could not hold the front line. They tried to fight nonetheless because they were like, yeah, sure, okay, a lot of cooldowns were used just to kill our feisty little battle dwarf, but maybe we can retaliate. No, they could not. They lost to Sonya as well. Thankfully for CE, though, they didn't lose anyone else, so they might be in a good spot to at least claim the top shrine. They need to do something quick, though. Otherwise, level 20 is going to be there for SPT, and another Dragon Knight is going to hit the floor.
Looks like it's going to be a big old group up in top lane. They already know that there's at least 2 people down in bot lane, because it's very unlikely they were grabbing a mercenary camp with 1. So they need to try and get this cut. They need to, 1, prevent the Dragon Knight from being taken, which has been left to KTY. Not the best person to do this. Big stun on him. Heals himself, but takes a lot of damage, being forced to retreat. They're not grabbing anything this is. They're literally just delaying for 20. They're going to give away the Dragon Knight and try to soak 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Rhaegar could not secure the top shrine against the Haka, who is way too tanky to just, you know, fall victim to a single Rhaegar. So they should have sent more people top in order to brute force their way through, or they should have just left it all together. But as it is, as you said, they bought a little bit more for time for level 20, which now hits. We see Epiphany on Kharazim. We see the Ignore Pain for the Sonya at level 20, very important, and Rewind for Rhaegar. Let's go.
And Muradin has already dived in. They're going to try and ignore the Dragon Knight and just win the fight by out-microing it here. ZZH is dropping low. Wind has popped the avatars, keeping himself alive. KTY will drop on his own here. He's just been completely isolated.
They don't kill him.
But yeah, he survived. He was able to heal himself. And Lufel staying alive, and it's going to be Tassadar who drops first. ZZH is still alive somehow. They need to kill him off to get that redemption down. Instead, it's going to be Kharazim and Greymane who go down. Here goes Rhaegar as well. Paradise is basically alone here. Wind could jump back in, but what would be the point?
So two things that went extremely well for SPT. A, that punt on the Muradin basically made sure that there was no frontliner to interrupt the advance of SPT. And B, they tried to ignore the Uther on purpose, Tetra, I think, because they didn't want to proc the redemption. They did want to get the extra healing off. They wanted to keep him low so that he had to use, or he had to suffer from all the cooldowns. But it was still not enough. ZZH continued to be a menace, and SPT, with the Dragon Knight just being too strong, that Dragon Knight punt decided the outcome of the team fight, and rightfully so. Do they claim the victory over CE, once again proving that they're still the Kryptonite, and CE just will have to try again next time.
That is 1-0. That is also now 12-0 on Dragonshire for SPT. That is certainly a ratio that I do not want to go up against. That's crazy. But SCE, so many moments that they had a great opportunity, but if they weren't going to kill Uther, then maybe focusing someone else might have been the idea there, because Uther was the only one who really dropped low.
That's the thing, right? A good Uther player, like in that case CZH, he's basically going to walk into the enemy team, he's going to present himself on a silver tablet, and he's going to be like, bring it! Bring it, you can kill me, but I'm going to dish out more healing if I die, and on top of that, I'm going to come back to life because I have redemption ready. So, in that case, I think it was more of CZH throwing himself into the fray, absorbing a lot of damage, and baiting CE into that focus. And CE, they pulled the trigger, but they didn't really, you know, execute it. So they realized, hey, we're not going to kill Uther. But in the meantime, also, there was so much other stuff going on, like the kick against Muradin, the Sonya, who was falling rapidly in health. So I think the moment Muradin got punted, I would love to see a replay of the fight, actually. Unfortunately, we don't have one. But I would have loved to see if it was possible for CE to pull back and disengage and fight the Dragon Knight at their gates, or if they were caught so deep within that it was no longer an option for them to pull back. Because I think the moment Muradin gets kicked away, you need to give the command, let's not fight, let's go back and wait.